Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to dive into prepare for tomorrow, right? So tomorrow isn't promised, but I'd rather be ready for it, right? So we're going to dive in and explore and approach all the different ways that we can utilize our actions today to deliver results tomorrow. Right, so if you are here for the very first time, thank you for joining us. My name is Wade Vincent, and on this podcast, you will be given tools, techniques, and principles that will help you along your journey to reach the next level on your own self-mastery process and road to success. So really, what it comes down to is it's all about forward thinking. Right? It's all about that future planning. How do we consider what's to come? Right? Now, we very much have two schools of thought where one is, live for the moment. Tomorrow isn't promised. As I say at the beginning, let's live for today. And then you have the other school of thought that is, how do we best prepare and take action to deliver the results and create the future we desire, right? So we're gonna dive into that now. The thing that I think was a very powerful and impactful lesson for me when I was starting to go through this part of my journey and understanding the real power and capability that I have to determine the outcomes that I seek for my future. Now, the lesson, right, that really was like a wake-up call, a slap in the face for me, was ultimately, whether we're aware of it or not, our actions we are taking right now in this very day and moment determine our future. So we can stick our head in the sand, we can believe that it's not the case and we'll handle it tomorrow, don't worry about it now. Those actions or lack thereof are determining the future that is being paved for you in this very instance. So when I started out and I knew I had to take a hold of my life and take control and do something about driving the life that I was seeking to live. At the time I was driving trucks 12 and 14-hour days, 5-6 days a week. I'd leave work before my kids woke up in the morning, and sometimes I'd get home at night and they're already asleep. Just straight up working nonstop. That's all I did, and was selling my time, making no money, and going further and further into debt. And the challenging part with it all was I'd put myself in that position. And that's the crucial thing to state here and for all of us to understand is we are born into our circumstances, but we are not our circumstances, if that makes sense, right? We have power. Some of us start more advantaged than others. Some have more struggles and challenges and adversity to rise up and defeat those challenges. But we all have to take action and take responsibility and ownership of our actions, because we have to take ownership of our own lives. Now, I had put myself in that position when I was younger, wasn't interested in school. I sat in the back of the class and did graffiti sketches in my book, and that was what captivated me at the time. I had no interest at all, and ultimately went on to be a graffiti artist and spent significant years of my life doing that. And because of that, you're not really developing a skill set that's required or sought after. Now, having said that, some of the people that I grew up with doing this have absolutely gone on to make an incredible career for themselves and a name for themselves as globally renowned artists, most certainly. But I'm talking about doing illegal graffiti out at night, damaging and vandalizing, painting trains, doing all of that activity that might help you get better at graffiti itself, but it's not leading you to a desirable outcome. Those actions led me further and further down this path, that the key is ultimately to knowing that at some point you have to path correct. So if you're way off course, or you've led yourself further and further down this rabbit hole, you have to come back. And it's a lot easier to get where you want to go if you haven't gone so far off course, if that makes sense, right? So the actions that we take now deliver the future that we want, or even as I say, if we don't know our actions are delivering the future that we are creating for ourselves through those actions. So when I got to that point where I was driving trucks and working that long, I had no skill set. My only skill set was a truck license. I didn't read books. I didn't study and understand money. I didn't understand relationships and negotiation. I didn't understand philosophy. I didn't understand habits and traits and these tools and techniques that I'm sharing with you now that I do understand, because I had to put significant amounts of work in over the last maybe 7 years that I've been on this journey to get back, I feel, on track or in a place in my life where I'm happy that I'm moving in the right direction now, if that makes sense. So when you're working, right, like I was, driving trucks for that long and physical work, at the end of the day, you're exhausted. And I could go to sleep and I'd get up early and do it all over again. And at no time was I taking any extra initiative or actions that would lead me out of that. Right? And that was the key, right? I wasn't doing anything to get myself out of that situation. And when I had that epiphany and that realization that, if I'm ever going to get out of this, if I'm ever going to prepare the future that I want in my life and that I want to live and be proud of and show my sons how to do the same, I've got to, get my shit together and take action, right? And at that time, I took the situation I was in and I played it to my advantage. Now, what I mean is that when I was driving the truck, I was in the truck for that long, all day on my own, right? So I had 12 to 14 hours to think, to process. I would listen to podcasts, right? I took advantage of the opportunity in that situation that didn't appear to be there, but discovered there was freedom in that. Now, it's impossible, if you think about it, virtually to have 10, 12, 14 hours of consuming valuable content in your life. So that was almost like this immersive crash course that I was able to do every single day. So I would drive and just fill my head with good quality knowledge, the right process, the right principles, ideas, concepts, thoughts, innovative people that were creating wonderful companies and doing good things for other people. And I just immersed myself, and that was like just the day-to-day driving in the truck, right? And then when I had my lunch break, if I had, I would try to work faster and get ahead of schedule, so I would give myself an hour at lunch every day, right? So I'd make sure everything I needed to do was out of the way to allow me enough time to sit with my lunch and read a book for half an hour to an hour every day. All right, and this was probably the biggest, most impactful actions that I took that really jump-started my approach and helped me to get to where I am right now in my life. It is immensely valuable, and even though the situation seemed like I had no time to sort of sit down at night and study or find out what I was interested in. I made the most of the time that I had and utilized the tools that were available to me to take positive action and bring myself back out of that realm, right? So and all of this was ultimately because I seek security for my family, for my life, for myself, for our opportunities to know that, at that period of my life, it was miserable. Like, you're stressing constantly. You don't have enough money. You don't know how you're going to pay bills. You're going into debt. It doesn't create. It's not conducive to a lovely and joyous family environment. There's a lot of stress and frustration and negative energy in the house, and the kids grow up with that, right? And it doesn't build a beautiful relationship between your partner and yourself because you're so consumed. You don't have capacity to focus on those the joys of life, the true things that create the wonder in our lives, right? So the security was the driver for me, an opportunity, and ultimately compounding efforts that deliver the resources and future that I have built. So everything that you do, no matter how frustrating rather, it may seem that these actions are having such little effect or impact, they all build on top of each other, right? And if you started this is the waterline and your baseline is here, and you do little activities that help you to become 1% better tomorrow, right? Just that tiny little, what seems to be insignificant, distance that you've pushed yourself. Tomorrow, that's your baseline, right? So then 1% on that, now you're here. You get me? So it's a compounding efforts. You're bringing yourself up. You're rising up and creating a new foundational baseline where you work from. And then when you understand these tools and the actions that you've taken and put in place, it's very hard to go backwards from that because you don't lose that capability, right? It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is investing in yourself and creating what you need to know and understand to drive yourself forward and create the future that you seek for yourself and your family. Now, the one of the challenges, and I've mentioned this in previous episodes, is when you're around or in a situation where, and this is especially true when I was driving trucks, all of the guys are good guys, right? Lovely people, like they're all my mates and they're just good people, right? And we were all very similar. And I find in life, whatever you've created of yourself and for yourself, the energy that you're currently experiencing and giving out to the world, it is like attracts like. It brings you into those realms. You sort of fall into place where you belong, right? And at that time, very much, I was like, we were all the same. All of those guys and I were, we got on great because, you think very similarly. Now, I can tell you, and no disrespect at all to any of my friends in that situation, there was very few guys in that situation that were trying to get out of it or that were trying to improve upon their lives or themselves. They were good, honest blokes, and they did the hard work and provided for their families. And most of them were content with that, and that's cool, right? Now, if you're listening to this and you're like I am, and especially as how I was at that stage, desperately seeking to become better and challenge myself to be a greater version of myself so I could create that future. So I was capable of preparing for that future, right? Because it's coming whether you like it or not. There's going to be challenges and obstacles, and it's hard to face them if you're not prepared and you haven't done the work to get yourself ready for them, right? So when I was in that position, it's easy to become complacent, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. because when you're around a group of people that are all driven and motivated, and they're trying to be the best version of themselves, and they're challenging themselves each day, and they're propping you up, and you're pushing each other, and you're rising together. You rise faster and more quickly because you're doing it in unison. When you're around a realm where no one else is doing that, it's easy to get drawn back into thinking, I don't need to do this stuff. It's too hard. And, I've worked hard all day. Why not just sit back and put my feet up? Of course, right? You can. But I promise you that the hard you face, in the future years coming is going to be harder than the extra effort you need to put in right now today. And you have so much more comfort and freedom and joy and opportunity than you realize from putting in the extra effort and work now, right? Now, so it's very easy to get confused that the correct approach is to take it easy, because I guarantee, 90+% of the world, don't sort of strive to be better every day, I'd like to think maybe more, but from at least what I've seen in my life and my experience and the everyday people that you interact with, most people are sort of, it's that homeostasis, right? You come back to that level that's comfortable. You push up, and then you sort of fall back down to this comfortable baseline, and that's where you just sort of stay, right? Most people do that, and that's okay. But as I say, if you're here listening to this, you're not one of those people. You're trying to be better than you were yesterday, right? Now, it is very difficult and challenging to chart our own course in advance, right? But it's the only way. You cannot get to where you're going if you don't know where you want to go, right? If you're just taking actions and you think, I'm doing all this stuff, and I am guilty of this. I have done this, where you take action and think that, yes, some of it is beneficial, but without the plan, you can't succeed. There is no plan. What outcome is going to happen if you haven't planned any outcome, right? Now, no one else can do this for us. This is one of the greatest truths that I've discovered in my life, is understanding it's on me, right? And your life is on you. Whatever life that you seek or desire or so wish for yourself and your family, it is your destiny to create it. And we all have this capability and this power and opportunity. That's what the gift of life is. You're given this moment. You're given this wonderful section of time in reality, and here we are. What are we going to do about it, right? What kind of life do you want to live? Who could you become, right? I know that with every ounce of my being, it drives me to want to see how great I can be. What can I achieve in this life? If I am blessed with enough time, God willing, that I have a long and healthy life, I want to go all in, right? As they say, no one's making it out alive, right? It's just that's real. And what kind of future do you want for yourself? Do you want to be looking back in that future and be like, man, I wish I had tried a little bit harder 20 years ago? Do it now, right? You know that now. You're here with me. You're watching this. You're already pushing yourself. Now, if the real challenge, and ultimately what will keep you stuck, is if you keep living for today, you are stealing from your future self, right? If you keep living for today, you are robbing and stealing from your future self. The only thing that allows us to improve is time, right? And time's finite. If we don't time for us as individuals, right? If we don't utilize that time and make the most of it to improve upon our situation and do the hard work, right? And it is hard, but the hard work that we put in now each and every day when we're tired to pick up a book and read for 20 minutes is invaluable, right? The hard work when we're exhausted and, we don't want to come home and deal with, trying to get better or go to the gym. You have to. It's the only way. If you want to improve and create that future you desire for yourself, you have to take actions today that deliver those results for tomorrow. Now, I've been through situations where I don't want to go to the gym. I've been through situations where I can't get enough and I'm there like 6 days a week. Let's get it. And the interesting thing is, and this is a good example for anyone who goes to gym and understands, the hard work that you put in, you see no results on the first day. You'll see no results on the second day for about, especially when you're new to the gym, if you've never really gone in and taken care of yourself, your physical health with resistance training, it will take about 3 weeks before you see any result. And this is 3 weeks of working out 4, 5, 6 days a week, like physically demanding, challenging, and you're exhausted and you see nothing. And it's frustrating because you have to have faith and believe in the actions that you're taking are building that future that you seek. You got to believe it, right? It's easy to and this gets me on to, ultimately the future that was planned was determined yesterday, right? What I did yesterday in my life is already contributing towards tomorrow for me, right? Am I eating poorly? Did I decide to skip the gym yesterday? Did I think, I don't really want to pick up that book. I don't want to study. I don't want to improve upon myself. I can't be bothered listening to that podcast. I'm too tired to play with my children right now. I don't really have the energy to sort of give my loved one some attention and snuggle up with them and just hang out and spend some quality time together. It's decisions, right? All it is decisions. Do this thing, don't do this thing. Right? Do that thing, don't do that thing. If we do that thing that we know is good for us, only good comes from it. Right? If we know that not doing that thing makes us, like, and to use the gym analogy again, right? If we know working out is good for us, the more we do it, it's good for us. We're going to be healthier, happier, stronger, better blood flow, better muscle, less fat in our bodies, clearer thinking, energy levels are good, dopamine rush naturally, and we don't do those things. Tomorrow I'm one day further away, right? Does that make sense? I just, I can't be bothered. I'll just eat this McDonald's. Eat it if you want, but don't feel bad about the consequences, because they're our choices. Our actions are determined by us. And as challenging as it is, we have to decide what series of actions that we take, where are they taking us? What future are we truly creating for ourselves? Right? One of my favorite quotes of all time is Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is a habit. Right? Powerful stuff, right? Like, these are like great men and women have known these secrets and truths that I'm sharing with you for thousands of years, and we write it down, we record it. All these answers that we seek, they're everywhere, right? We just got to go and find them, and I'm sharing them with you now. So when we go through the actions that we take, knowing they either lead us closer to the future we desire and we're preparing for, or they lead us further away. There's no two ways about it, right? If you're not taking action, it's leading you further away. You're either taking action or you're not. It's that simple, right? We overcomplicate this. I know I have in the past complicated these things in my life unnecessarily, right? Now, you must start with determining what tomorrow looks like for you. What is the future that you seek, right? This is the first part you need to start with. Determine the future that you want to live. I remember going through this activity myself and doing, like, the vision boards and writing affirmations and planning it out and putting dates on it. This is where I want to be. This is what I want for my family. This is what I will be able to provide for my family. This is where we will live. This is how we will live. This is what our house will look like. I will be healthy. I will be strong. We will have this much money in the bank. I will be connected to these amazing, wonderful people. I will be able to provide this certain opportunity for my child or children or myself. When you get very granular and specific with it, the more the better. You've begun manifesting that reality. All right? You've got to see it first. Right? Once you see it and you've determined and you've gone in depth, right? The deeper and more vivid that you can create that future in your mind, the realer it becomes. And once you've determined that future that you seek for yourself, then we ask, what are the steps I need to take to get there? How do I shorten the distance from where I am to where I want to be? And how many steps does it take? That's simple, right? It really is very straightforward. If we're methodical, we focus on our discipline and our routine. It's critical, right? If we know that we get in a good habit. Now, the second part of that is when you understand what actions are required to reach that future tomorrow that you've prepared or you're seeking, and you understand what to do to get there, then set those motions in place, those routines, those habits, those rituals. Do them daily and do them at the same time daily. We as humans are creatures of habit, and it's very easy for us to find that rhythm, that routine when we do things religiously, right? So it's very important, right, that we take that approach. Now, it takes years to build this, and this is a key thing. We get very caught up in the society that we live in today. Is very much the instant world, the Amazon Prime world, the now, everything I want now. Reality doesn't work like that, right? Greatness takes time. As I've mentioned in other episodes, when I was a chef, my head chef at the time, George, used to say, we cannot speed the cooking process. Right? Beautiful, right? It takes as long as it takes. Now, when we start getting disheartened and we think it isn't working and we can't see the results, we have to keep going. As long as we have been clear on the future that we seek and have been definitive in the steps and we're methodical about our approach, I promise you will get there. This is the same thing that I have done for the last 7 years. The same actions, just routine over and over and over, sets and reps, right? Like, I know I use the gym analogy all the time, but it's a perfect one. It's easy to understand, right? Now, the more, like, I look back now and I can see why I am where I am in my life currently. And I know the tools and the principles and the techniques that are working for me, that have worked for me and that haven't. And I'm sharing them with you because I know that they're going to work for you as well. There's no magic or mystical, it's not the secret. This is reality. You just understand where you want to be, backwards, reverse engineer it, and take action every day. It's really, really easy. I promise you guys. It's simple, but it's not always easy, right? You've got to be disciplined, and it's because you deserve it. You deserve a great life, and if you want that great life, you've got to earn it, right? So do those things, religiously, every single day, and even though it seems like sometimes nothing's changing, I promise you it is. It's all compounding and it's building and building and building, right? And you're creating that momentum, and then it starts to happen quickly, I promise you. When it does happen, all of a sudden it just starts to snowball. It's wonderful. Now, if you plan well and you define the actions and steps that you need to take, and you're you dive in deep and you do it concisely, you will arrive at the future you've created for yourself. And that's powerful, right? It's the future you have created for yourself. No one else did it, right? And you can feel this sense of satisfaction and wonder and know that you are living in that future that you made, right? What's better, right? Do the hard work now and face the challenges and the discomfort for a life of comfort and freedom and success and all the things that you need that will make your life easier, or take it easy now and face a life of hardship and challenge and a future that's uncertain. I've done both, right? I've done the one where I've done nothing, and I know that it's extremely difficult and challenging when you don't know if you're going to have enough money to put a meal on the table. And I've done the other one where I work my ass off and I'm the most comfortable I've ever been in my life. And I've got so much further to go yet, and I'm excited and driven and hungry to see how much further I can go and what future I can create for my family. So I want the same for you guys right now. And once you learn to do this is beautiful too, right? No one can take it away from you. This is something that is truly yours and yours alone. You've developed this skill. You've become a master of manifesting whatever future and desirable life that you seek, and you made it happen. How empowering is that, right? No one can stop you when you get to that level, right? You can create and you can do it again and again and again. And when you realize how to do that, you share it with others so they can have that wonderful joy and freedom and the future they desire for themselves as well. We all deserve great futures, but we have to work and earn them, right? All right, guys, this has been good. I've enjoyed this one with you guys. So take action and prepare for tomorrow, because if you don't prepare for tomorrow today, you will not have a pleasant future. I promise you. I've lived in some challenging times in my life. So take action and become the best version of yourself you can be and get the future you deserve. All right, guys, this is Wade Vincent signing off, and I'll catch you next Friday. Thanks, guys.